Welcome to the Stargate Finance Community Call, where we discuss proposals and ideas that will help shape and govern the Stargate protocol. All right, thanks for joining us, Primo, Raz. It's been quite a week here watching Luna and UST. It's been pretty impressive, but I don't know, lots on the go here on our side as well. I guess let's start off here with some updates from last week. Pre-crime integration. How is that looking, and where are we at with that?
We're testing. We tested it on Testnet all last week. We are on Mainnet right now, just kicking the tires throughout the whole week, and we should be able to make everything live for building on cross Stargate sometime early next week.
Okay, cool. So yeah, next week, and then once that's in place, then that'll help with integrations and allowing other people to get involved and build on top of us, or to compose and wrap Stargate.
Yep, absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's something I think we're all pretty excited about, and definitely going to unlock a little bit more into the ecosystem. Wicked. So then that against Sushi was kind of like one of the first ones that we had talked about and had like passed their governance, governance over there. So how's that looking on their end? Any further developments with them, or I guess just pre-crime being the main thing that they need?
I think at this point there's a number of outstanding integrations that are largely waiting for that. So it's been more of a security thing than anything else. Pre-crime is going to go live, and then a bunch of those. I would say, as far as I know, they're waiting on us. There's multiple people waiting, sort of on the rails to be taken off on the pre-crime side of things. And so once that happens, I think we'll see a bunch.
Awesome. Any that we can talk about, or any that are that we know of that are in the pipeline?
I don't know. Well, if Maki pops in, I'll let him say if he's able to say. I'm not sure what is able to be said right now. Like I don't want to give announcements for other people, right? They should be able to own their announcements. It's for them. Perfect. Sort of integrating their product is getting better by using Stargate. Let's normally I would keep it to them, but if Maki has some he's happy to share. You can do it.
Perfect. Hello, Maki.
GM.
Yeah, we were just talking about some of the integrations here. Just we talked about Sushi and of course pre-crime. Allowing a lot of integrations to happen with that. Anything that you want to share with us about integrations or anything like that?
Yeah, we were looking actually to we were looking at some new ERC-20 to turn to like OFT. Two of them actually. It's a big name. It's basically like and we can talk about it because right now actually they are looking into a solution to make it like multi-chain, and basically it's just a matter of clearance by on the security side, because it's not a typical ERC-20. Synthetics and basically SUSD is looking into basically integrating LayerZero, and potentially after that Stargate if this goes well. Of course, the thing is it's only for Optimism and ETH mainnet, so kind of in the process right now in the due diligence, kind of see how this goes, and potentially going to be integrated to the broader kind of synthetics ecosystem over there at Optimism. So everything like Dallas, everything like Quenta, and so on. They have I think 3 or 4 side kind of or child project, I would say. So that's in the pipeline right now. We're kind of just waiting on the security side. Just a quick reminder, SUSD and SNX were basically pulled off from Kashi from Sushi, because they had some problem where there's 2 contract kind of operating the ERC-20. So there's a proxy contract and there's another one. So that's why we need to be extremely careful. Just want to make sure everything's good, but that's in the work. And if everything goes well, we're going to be able to support them. And basically the swap, not the swap, sorry, the widget, is going to be integrated in all of these interfaces. So that is extremely positive. But yeah, that's just one name I can pronounce myself on at the moment. And Primo is going to be on a Twitter space actually with them this week. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, glad to hear that that's in the pipeline.
I'm not sure everybody knows what the widget is. So the widget is basically a Stargate, basically frame that can be put in any website. And so some, like, yes, direct integrations are great. There's a bunch of those happening. But then you have indirect integrations where it's very easy, literally just a couple lines of code to drop this widget in the UI. And now you can have this bridge directly on the website without doing anything else, without other change. You want to come from Avalanche to Polygon to be able to trade here on our DEX, like here, widgets on the website, the users can just do it. They don't need to leave. They don't need to go anywhere. It's directly integrated on the site. And so that was a way to like drive easy integrations and traffic as people get to kind of leverage Stargate without needing to rechange their protocol completely. So there should be like a lot broader just kind of usage to all of these as people are jumping around through each product.
Perfect.
And what is very interesting with the widget, that's like usually like a 10-minute integration, and in the future I really think like part of the swapping fee is probably going to go to these third parties, in the upcoming proposal, most likely, and that is really going to bolster adoption. Like if you look at the Optimism kind of proposal, we kind of hinted to it with qualified partner. I think this is going to be super powerful, and potentially like every bridge button that you see out there in all these protocols and dApps are potentially going to become like Stargate. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Really great to hear that. And the widget will like unlock and be super easy for a lot of people to integrate with. All right. Some of the other features too that are being worked on right now, or I guess that have been, and maybe some of you have seen this, that there is the withdrawing from pools to other networks. So you can withdraw from, if you're withdrawing from the pool from, let's say you're on Arbitrum, there's options for you to be able to remove and get your liquidity on a different network. So that's one of the things that's out right now. I think that's been as of the past almost a week or something of that. So hopefully some people have found that advantageous. Feel free to drop any comments on that if you like that or don't like that or things about it. But that's been pretty cool. And from product side as well, next week we've got a few things coming up with one of them with the scan, like the LayerZero Scan type thing. So that's going to be a V0 edition of that. So you'll be able to look at your transactions that are happening between chains. So you'll be able to put your transaction, will be able to show what's happening between the two chains, because right now you have to kind of look at two different ones. So it's going to be a V0, so there won't be as much information in it as like Etherscan or any of these other scans. But that way you'll be able to see your transactions. And if you do need to look at things like fees and gas and whatnot, they'll still be available on both of those on the source and destination chains. But just to kind of give you a small teaser about how that's going to work and what that's going to look like. But I think the gas on destination for Stargate also. Oh yeah, that's the other part here I was going to message is so we're going to have the custom amount of native gas will be also an option next week. So basically, when you bridge over to a new, if you're going to a new wallet with your when you're going to a different network, if that doesn't have any native gas in it, you'll be able to airdrop yourself some of your own native gas. So that's, and we'll be able to have that customized. So that will be portions of it that, if you wanted to drop, enough for a transaction or be able to do approval transaction or just like a custom amount. I think there's a maximum limit as to how much we can airdrop or give yourself, I guess is basically what it is. But I think that's going to be super powerful because finding native gas can be a bit of a pain point. And just being able to customize that will be, I don't know, something I'm super excited about anyways. Basically, like you could come into the ecosystem with like just ETH, like native ETH, and be able to like get to every network that you need to. And because you'll be able to like get to a network, have enough air, like drop yourself enough native gas on the destination chain. So you'll be able to like hop betwixt in between, trading and swapping to get whatever you like to get more native gas if you need it, and then move on to the next chain, or maybe even give yourself enough in the beginning to just be able to go all the way around. So I'm going to try and make a video about that once that comes in next week, and show everybody how cool that is. But yeah, something else to look forward to for next week. Another thing too that we've brought in is the ticketing bot. So if you do have problems, questions, concerns, any kind of issues or anything like that, you can open a ticket in the same support channel. Underneath is a support chat. There's open a ticket. And so we just ask that if you are having issues or if there's any concerns or something like this, open up a ticket. And then that way you know that you're getting a secure line with a moderator, and that you're not going to get approached by a scammer, because there's so many scams out there. People are hunting, passing out, handing out seed phrases to just anybody. Don't do that. Open a ticket. This way here, you know that you're going to be speaking with someone who's a part of the team, and you're not going to get picked up by whoever, somebody that's, a scammer or anything like that. Plus, it'll also allow for, it's going to remove a bunch of like, conversation in the chats, so that it's not just a bunch of back and forth about a support issue. This way here, it can just be consolidated into those areas. So please be patient, as there's a lot of people that need help at times, or a lot of people just ask or whatever. So we'll get to you eventually, but that's the best place to do it. And that way people get notified when those are there. So it's a better place for you to get picked up and get things solved. So cool. If anybody has questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. No problem there. Okay, so as far as the past governance stuff, we've had the ETH base pair integration. That was passed, and of course that was that beat UST, which as of today seems like a really good victory. How are we looking at, or how's things looking with that? Raz or Primo, if you can speak to the ETH integration there.
So we're putting the ETH pools on Testnet. We're just going to verify that the deploy works smoothly. Once that's done, it's just hooking that up on Mainnet and setting up the UI to make sure that it has the ETH pool set up. So probably sometime next week.
Cool. Yeah. And then as far as like, so we'll have that on, because it's going to be native ETH, so we're going to be focused on Mainnet, Arbitrum, and Optimism, correct?
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Cool. And then, as far as like, I don't know, I see that there was like the proposal for incentivization and whatnot here about things. As far as like ETH pools, what does incentivization look like, or does that make sense?
Yeah, so ETH pools have some base incentives. So basically, there's like this trade-off, right? When you're adding new pairs or when you're adding new chains, the trade-off is somebody has to incentivize those. So for new chains, oftentimes the chains themselves have been offering to potentially incentivize those. And so, there's this proposal we sent out to Optimism as well, because Stargate qualified for an Optimism grant. And the proposal is basically to use a bunch of the Optimism tokens as like incentives for adding liquidity on the chain. It's good for the chain because they have a very liquid kind of in and out, and it's obviously allows Stargate to sort of have broader reach without needing to pay these incentives themselves. And so, as you're adding these things, you have basically how much you're going to put out and what volume are you going to get back. Right now, it's still in the bootstrapping phase. Obviously we're giving out more in incentives than we're getting in fees, but the goal is that all of that grows. So I think there's a proposal right now for the emissions coming up on ETH. It's fairly minor overall, and it basically prioritizes Ethereum emissions, and the reason it prioritizes Ethereum emissions is on Arbitrum and Optimism, the bridge to get back on ETH is 7 days. And so there's a lot more, like the experience to get in is very fast. The experience to get out is pretty hard, which means there's a lot more demand on the Stargate side of things going out. So you want the liquidity to basically accumulate on the Ethereum side. People will add to Arbitrum and Optimism and then sort of bridge out and over. So yeah, there will be emissions. There's a proposal up for it that needs to pass, and I think it will be hopefully finalized by the time the pools are ready to go.
Cool. Yeah, we'll stay up to date here on these with the emissions and these ideas here too. It's been great to see stuff coming into the into Commonwealth and seeing the conversations happen there. So keep an eye out there, everybody too. As that's like the main place here for proposal discussion to help to help kind of grow and build the ecosystem here within Stargate. All right. I don't know if anybody's got questions about that. And of course, anybody who wants to come up here, please raise your hand. We'll get you up. If you've got questions about any of this stuff, want to hear from you. So who we got here? Chuck, you got something for us?
Hey guys, can you hear?
We got you. How are you, Chuck?
I'm good. How are you?
Perfect. Really good.
It just so by using Stargate, the user will be able to skip those 7 winning days if they want to bridge back to Ethereum from those 2 sidechains.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so basically, anytime you're leaving, or one of the rollups, one of the L2s, if you're bypassing sort of the challenge period, the LPs are absorbing like some amount of risk to do that, but the price, sort of, they're being compensated for that is kind of worth it, which is why people are kind of LPing in these pathways. But yeah, you'll bypass it. It'll be as fast as the USDC transfers out are.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Happy to hear.
Yeah, cool. If anybody else, of course, throughout this has questions around anything, feel free to hop up and off we go. All right. Okay, next up is, the bribes has also passed. Maki, do you have any updates on that? Can you speak to the bribes and all that?
So right now, the rounds are not started yet. We will be bribing So what is anticipated is, since there was some, the UST situation and Luna situation, we expect their bid for the next round to be basically lowered, and everything related to the 4 pool to probably not happen. This makes us we're gonna be able to suck in like tremendous amount of bribes, incentives, with this bribe. So it should be extremely cost efficient. We will see. I mean, it's maybe there's going to be other players, or maybe they're gonna attempt something else. But from my understanding, we are in a very good situation to be probably like beside Frax, the top basically briber for this next upcoming round. I do believe this would require us to also stake or LP protocol on liquidity. So there's going to be a proposal being posted today regarding this. But basically, we're gonna give more information as soon as the round open. It's gonna be via Votium, via potentially Pitch. We're kind of discussing which platform to use for the CRV bribes. If this is not the case, it's gonna be like the bribe.curve by Andre, and then redacted cartel, like a small grant of 500K. So all of this will be kind of transmitted over the next few days as soon as the round open.
Awesome. Yeah. So the round.
So everything is clear on this side.
Yeah. When does the round open exactly?
It should be in the next few days, I believe. Like it's every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically just on standby until it opens. I need to verify the exact dates per se, but it's in the upcoming days.
All right. Thank you. Scrubbo, have you got something for us?
Hi guys. I just wanted to ask, can you possibly enumerate the factors that go into determining the speed of transfers between chains? Like, how much of that is dependent on the chains you're transferring from and transferring to, and how much of that, like, are you guys like actively working towards speeding up, or anything like that?
Yeah. So I can talk a little bit about that. It's basically the primary driver of this is security, right? So most of these are probabilistic finality. And in probabilistic finality, like latency is just a measure of security. So the question is, obviously, if somebody can reorg a chain after the transaction has gone through and processed, and that's like, that's kind of like the worst tail risk. That's what you need to avoid kind of in all cases. And so for most chains, this is still reasonably quick. For Ethereum, this is like 15 blocks. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. For Polygon is by far the longest right now because they've had multiple kind of 100, 200 block reorgs. It's set to 512 block comps, which is roughly 20 minutes. Everything else should be very, very, very fast. Avalanche is extremely quick. Most of the other chains are extremely quick. On the, again, is kind of like the oracles, the relayers, all these systems are kind of getting better at certain things. They're like, from time to time, things happen where something happens on that end that is slow in delivering. Eventually, there's going to be the system set up that is basically slashing and staking, and this whole component where if oracles and relayers don't keep like an appropriate amount of uptime or consistency, then they would basically be penalized for that. Right now, I think everybody, again, there's a whole bunch of oracles sort of being onboarded right now, and everybody's just kind of trying to get the systems down to be like near perfect, right? So as a base case, it should basically be that. It should be 3 minutes and 15 seconds from Ethereum, 20 minutes from Polygon, and near extremely quick from everything else. But there is some little bit of variance there now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Scrubbo. All right. Anybody else has questions? Feel free to come on up. But yeah, okay. So we've covered the bribes, and Isabel, come on up.
Hey guys. First off, sorry for being so heated last week. Apologies. Second thing, I think the one thing the community is looking for is some sort of value accrual, especially in today's marketplace where things are going down. Some of the better things that are holding up half decently or have been tokens that can accrue some semblance of value. Obviously, it's not the main driver right now, integrations, etc. But it would be good to get something like that in place. We did have a proposal before that obviously got passed, but didn't get quorum. And to be fair, it was a badly written proposal. It didn't have numbers, etc. Is there any issue with if I were to put up a proposal today, for example, of doing some split where stakers, because obviously this will drive incentivization of staking, etc. Is there any issue with doing so? And I'm just thinking a small one, like say 10-15%. Obviously, the integrations will drive everything. We need to keep 5% for the integrators and the vast majority for the LPs. Would there be any issue with that?
So I don't think there's any direct issue with it. I think broadly, like the goal, again, I think the protocol does best when the protocol accrues a bunch of liquidity because that just compounds, right? It has baseline liquidity. It needs to rent less. That accrues to the protocol. It makes more fees. The protocol grows more, right? And eventually there's a point where like it's grown so much that the liquidity is not needed. And then it makes much more sense to distribute. But I think there's been a lot of again, like that other vote basically passed, even though it didn't hit quorum. Like there clearly is interest in having some of that go out. And so it's a trade-off on how much is going out versus protocol and liquidity. I think, as you're describing it, 10, 15%, whatever that looks like, I think that seems Like my guess is people would pass that. I think it seems, I don't, again, I think slightly suboptimal from like the protocol entirety sense of view, but I think like a totally reasonable trade-off to make. And I think like probably a net benefit.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Isabel. Who else have we got here? Pinodio. Hey, have you got something for us?
Hi, folks.
Great to see you again, man, and thanks for the stuff you had done prior. So,
Yeah, cheers. Appreciate that. I just had a broad comment on the question of security and potential attacks. I think that's something people are thinking about before using an omni-chain bridge. And a broad question people might have in their head, or certainly I do, is whether the future is cross-chain or whether it's multi-chain. And I'm just wondering if there are better ways we can communicate on the Stargate website or even in the documents, especially in ways that are more easy to understand by lay people, like exactly what kind of the security risks and precautions are.
yeah, 100%. So I'll try. I could rant on this for a very long time, so I'll try to keep it reasonably concise. Okay, so Vitalik making this post of the future is cross-chain, not multi-chain, right? Is a great perspective, basically from his perspective, because the way Vitalik thinks about the world is through wrapped assets, right? There's like the only way you can get ETH on another chain is by wrapping it. There is no contract that will like mint you ETH on another chain. And so one of the issues with wrapped assets is you think from a user, right? A user in an ideal world only carries risk for the duration of the transaction. So that's exactly what happens on Stargate, right? The user comes in and they deposit USDC on chain A and they get out USDC on chain B. And then every moment after that, they just have USDC. They're using their asset. They never think about it again, right? The bridge is gone. It's in the past. It did its job. And that's perfect. That's exactly what the user wants. But when you have wrapped assets, again, and this is Vitalik's kind of main complaint here, is that's not what happens, right? You lock up, let's say, $1,000 of asset, you lock up $1,000 of ETH on chain A, and you mint $1,000 of synthetic ETH on chain B. You're not done right now, because now you have this synthetic ETH, but as long as that synthetic ETH exists, it carries the risk, because at any point in time, if the original ETH was removed or something happened, your synthetic ETH is now worthless, right? It's not like the USDC that you got at a Stargate, where the USDC, even if the Stargate blew up, something happened, all the liquidity went away, your USDC is fine. You use it, you spend it, no problem. In this case, if that happens, there's nothing backing it. It's literally immediately worth zero, right? And that is a terrifying thing for a user to have to endure the entire time. And so, what this looks like now is you lock up a bunch of assets, 10 billion on chain A, you minted 10 billion of WETH on chain B, or whatever that looks like, any wrapped synthetic. And you have multiple angles of like attack vectors at all times. You always, there's always local smart contract risk. So the contract is poorly written, somebody hacks it, the funds are drained. Okay, local smart contract risk will always exist for any smart contract. You get a bunch of audits, you have the best possible sort of security lens you can. But then there are these other two angles of standing risk, and they come around sort of the validation mechanism and then fraudulent messages. So most of these other hacks that have happened, whether it's Poly Network or Axie or Wormhole, a bunch of these, is like a hacker stuffing a bunch of sort of bytes cleverly and then tricking either the source contract to tell the destination something that isn't true, or tricking the destination to like believe something that isn't true in the source. And so this is like why we invented pre-crime and why pre-crime is being rolled out, is like to solve for a bunch of this. But I think generally the argument is very good. And his argument is really an argument against wrapped assets. And so I think, there's always some risk. And when you're using any cross-chain protocol, anything, there's like some small risk. The goal is basically to make that as little as humanly possible, right? Both economically unviable, but also just like as small of an attack surface as humanly possible. And so broadly, like I think that's kind of the goal. And so should we get something written up and put up there? Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think I would love, content is something we have not, like, we've been purely heads down focused on the tech. I wish we had more resources around content. We're trying to basically get more people around that. So I hope the community or other people like write things up around these ideas. But I think the broad goal again is the user in an ideal world only bears the risk for the duration of the transaction, right? When you're sending a wire at your bank account, maybe something goes crazy wrong. Well, the wire is like in flight, whatever the intermediary, anything could happen. But once the money's in your account, you have it. It's there. You don't need to ever worry about it just not being, worth anything or magically disappearing. And so, I think the goal is kind of get the users to that state. You carry some small risk that's priced in and economically unviable while you're bridging or while you're doing whatever this is. And then after that, there's nothing. You just have the thing that you want to have. And I think the ideal world is kind of moving more towards that state. But that is Vitalik's broad argument, and I definitely think we should try to clarify more around that.
Yeah, that would be great. Seeing more on the site, and maybe he has an updated view, which would be interesting too. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem.
Wicked. Thank you. Yeah, it would be good to hear an updated view. All right. Okay. Yeah, thanks everybody that's been coming up here with the comments and everything about this. Other thing too, I wanted to mention in the in Discord in the voice text channel, dropped a preview of what the gas, like the gas customization drop on the other on destination chain. Just a quick preview of what that looks like. So you can, if you're curious, you can check in there and see what that looks like. Yeah. Next thing here is, as far as like the Optimism, with so the rewards have ended on Optimism, and there was a few people I think that got that were unable to claim or got zero, but that's that has been we've been keeping track of that, or there's record of that. So yeah, everybody will be made whole on that. Primo or Raz, can you guys just speak to that or what that looks like for people?
Sorry, can you just repeat the exact question?
Yeah, so just with Optimism, we've had the rewards have ended on that, and
Yeah. So the Optimism, blocks production is like done based on activity. Optimism from the time basically the contract was deployed until now had way more activity, likely due to the airdrop and some other things. So basically the emissions got accelerated in that contract like there aren't emissions. And so that might actually be okay longish term, such that again there's much more demand to bypass kind of the 7-day period when leaving than there is for incoming, or there are like other ways to do it incoming. So the emissions don't need to be sort of crazy on an ongoing basis, but the goal is that this proposal will pass on the Optimism side. The OP tokens will be used to incentivize sort of LPs on Optimism, and everybody basically from the block where the rewards ended through now, everybody would be kind of retroactively given their staking reward for that. So that will just all be done, post this Optimism proposal.
yeah, cool. And then there were some people I think that were trying to claim and didn't get, like, because before they, I think just as things ended, they had outstanding STG.
Yeah. Same thing. All the STG will be will be in there, so that will all be done.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, just anybody that's listening in here, just a quick update there that you will have your STG will be made whole, and yeah, that will be all taken care of. So there is record of that. And I think it's just a matter of once that contract gets refilled, that you'll be able to go back and claim any of that outstanding stuff, because that your claim has not actually gone away. It's just that there wasn't anything to claim, or wasn't anything available. So once that's filled, they should just be able to go claim again. Is that correct? Or am I?
Just maybe we can post in the forum, like on a proposal, like the list of the address and maybe like their expected STG, and before like expediting it and do a transfer. I'm not sure if Primo, I think that's how we should be proceeding here.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it to Raz ultimately. I know it will get sorted. I'm sure there will be, a proposal can go up and we can deal with that. I'm not sure the method yet, Tangle. So
Okay,
I don't know. I think it's going to depend on some smart contract constraints.
got it.
Yeah, we should just be able to put the Stargate tokens that people have not claimed yet in there, and then anybody who has tried to claim and receives 0, as long as they didn't go into Etherscan and try to do the emergency withdrawal, then they'll just be able to claim again, and it'll give them their LP back along with the SDG that they owed.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so as far as that proposal here with the Optimism airdrop here, I guess as we've been eligible for all of those tokens, please go have a look at that. That one was put up here by Maki recently. Just to be able to create having like a bonding curve, the liquidity mining, and then qualified partners as well that integrate the Stargate widget, which we talked about earlier. But I think this is like a really cool way to use these tokens and like to keep the Optimism and Stargate ecosystems working really well and keeping them engaged. I don't know. I know there's some people that were discussing with just through some of the comments in that proposal, things to help like benefit VE STG holders. I don't know if there's some thoughts or ideas around that as well from people that are in the audience. If you want to talk about anything in regards to that proposal, please feel free to chat now about that or ask any questions. But I don't know, do you guys have any thoughts on with that was one part here, it had like for the VE Stargate holders? All good. But I don't know, that's probably something that we could put up to Snapshot soon, just because that's obviously we want to try and get that to Optimism sooner than later, so that we can get those tokens that are eligible for us to Stargate. But, let's see, Nordost, have you got something for us? Nordost. I think you're still on mute. There you go. Can we hear you now? Okay, might be just having some mic issues there. You may have to choose a different input, but we can come back to you afterwards here. But okay, I don't know if anybody else has questions or comments on that on the Optimism part. We can get a little more feedback on that if we want, but I would love to hear from anybody that has ideas around it or ways that could be implemented or integrated. So, I don't know if anybody else has questions, comments, concerns on anything here. We do have this other proposal that just came up here recently. I guess it's a general discussion here about the liquidity incentivization program updates. And just a quick TLDR on that is based on our analysis, the Stargate protocol should target 645 million in TVL to support ongoing stablecoin transfer activity. Of that, the 40 million or 43 million is protocol owned liquidity, and 602 million is incentivized liquidity. So assuming APY of 6% and an STG price of 75 cents, the protocol should emit tokens at an annualized rate of 4.81%. The emission program should last for 2 months and should be reevaluated after more data has been collected. The protocol should update Stargate pathway weights and protocol-owned liquidity on a monthly basis based on 30-day trailing transaction volumes. If this proposal is passed, these updates should also be implemented immediately. The protocol should have a whitelisted address that is used exclusively for rebalancing protocol-owned liquidity across Stargate pools that does not incur any fees for Stargate transfers. The Stargate protocol should implement a 3-month incentive program for ETH pools on Ethereum, Optimism, and Arbitrum. Details on the program are below. So yeah, there's some other, of course, the what this can all look like, and kind of traffic looks like the daily net transferred histogram. There's some it's a graph there, and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, highly advise anybody that's interested to pop in and have a look at that. Max, I see you up here too now. Have you got some input towards that?
Yeah, hey guys, can you hear me?
We sure can. Thanks for coming on, Max.
Cool. Yeah, not much. Yeah, so just kind of wanted to share some of the work that we've done on this. I've been in a working group with a few members from the community. I know I see some people in here, Hans, Cosmo, Sec, and just, we've had some discussions on just trying to figure out a process to get TVL to be something that really just reflects actual transaction volume within Stargate. So, work closely with these guys to get some feedback on what that process should look like, and then just kind of dove deep into the data and building out a model that really predicted what Stargate TVL should be, again, given historical transaction data. I would love for people in the community to go check this out on the proposal. There's a lot of detail in there and analysis, but essentially what we're seeing is that emissions at the current rate are too high given the transaction volume that we're seeing, and just we're suggesting that emissions should be lowered to kind of to reach that target TVL that feels appropriate given current transaction volume and then growth for the overall protocol. There's a lot of detail in the proposal, so I would love for people to go there and have a discussion, and would love we would love your thoughts and feedback on this.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It's very detailed. So thanks everybody that's been working on that. So I know it's just been up here recently, but be great. Great to get some feedback, get some eyes on that, and hear from everybody. If anybody has questions on that, or I see Haynes, you're up here in Nordost. I don't know if you got your mic working or not, but I would love to hear from you guys as well.
Hannes, good to see you, buddy.
Hey man, how's it guys? How are you?
Hey, thanks.
Oh, good. Nice to have you up here.
Yeah. Sorry, I was a little bit late to the community call. Just went to pick up my dog, but I don't know what I've missed up until now, and I was just scrambling to get my phone. In regards to the Optimism airdrop, on the working group, I've been mentioning it to Tangle and Primo and the guys that I do think that Stargate actually has. I actually didn't initially know that we would be able to be eligible for something like this Optimism airdrop. But I think it is quite cool. Definitely a large portion of it, I think, should go to becoming actual protocol-owned liquidity, as well as incentivizing the Optimism users in what way, whatever is balanced. We need to figure out that. I do think at this stage, we definitely, as Max made that fantastic document of his regarding the emissions. Everybody should definitely go and check that out. The emissions and all of the financials will be sorted out in time. But I do think we need to get more incentive for people that actually stake VESTG, because at this stage, obviously, voting is a large part of it. But I mean, some of the wallets, one of the voting proposals at 1.9 million VESTG. And with the amount of people that actually have VESTG staked, should there really come a time where there's a big imbalance in the group and a lot of people don't actually vote for something, then staking your VESTG, and then you get overruled by somebody with a majority vote, then staking your VESTG doesn't really actually mean anything to people, and that's why I think a lot of people are reluctant to stake it. Obviously, we know the sell-off is much attributed to the current macroeconomic market conditions and moment of silence for the people over at Terra. I think it's horrible what happened over there. But I do think in the longer term, for us to be successful and to reduce the amount of people just farming and dumping, we should have a system kind of like how Frax does their staking system, where they have essentially a slider where the more VE SCG of whatever you commit to the protocol. Obviously, like there's a little bit different to us. They have the FXS token as well that changes it, but essentially that you get rewarded. Well, you get a portion of rewards go to VE holders in the form of either additional VE or, as we've previously spoken on the Telegram group, as stable coins or whatever the rewards will be. And that will just further incentivize people to actually not dump their Stargate and not make it a quick buck, and get a little bit more community, and get a little bit more community engagement. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on that. That's a mouthful, but yeah, what do you guys think?
Broadly, I've seen a couple angles of this thrown around, and so like the broad goal seems to be find a way that emissions right now still, and Max's emissions proposal, or like the data that was used via Max for that proposal, is like what he found in his study was basically that we don't need nearly as much TVL as we have. We have we had 4 billion, we have 1.4 billion now or something. We really only need like 600 million or so. So we're still overpaying by like 2 point something X, given what we actually need. And so one of the things is, hey, we need to lessen basically the amount of Stargate that is emitting and dumping. And so there's like a couple ways to propose that. One way is, actually just cut the emissions. So bring the TVL down to 600 million. There's less being emitted. And therefore there's like less going out into circulation. So that's one way. Another way is, as you described, like give people more of an incentive, where the people who are farming, the people who are LPing, get a disproportionate reward if they're staking more VESTG. And so this is another like totally viable approach. I think some other projects call them boosties or similar things, but this mechanic has kind of been around in sort of battle tested now, where I think that is something viable. And then the third is, hey, rather than giving people Stargate, give them like VE Stargate, or give them a percentage of what they would be getting in VE Stargate, so some split of theirs. So I've sort of seen all three talked about. I think I think there's viable arguments for kind of each of those, and possibly for all of them.
Yeah, especially the latter of the two. I mean, we all agree on the emissions being way too much, but I mean, it's a new project, and I think there was so much hype in any case regarding Stargate. That's why some of the people dumped the tokens, and that's new. It is an absolutely fantastic new piece of code. Well, not just piece of code, but I mean a fantastic new application. And I think the long-term impact that Stargate will have on the broader crypto market, as I've been saying on the Telegram group as well, people don't understand it yet, and they do think that Stargate's just another pump and dump staking incentive program, which I don't think we are. But yeah, I think we should. I'll also we'll brainstorm a little bit, and then we'll see in what ways we can reward the Stargate Optimism or the Stargate VESTG holders. I definitely think rather emitting them. What one definitely can do as well is the normal liquidity providers, as you said, with the boosting, is if they have additional VESTG that boosts their liquidity mining or their farming. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that is how you're going to attract a large amount of TVL. But it's been a tried and tested method, and I do think it will be effective in Stargate. We just have to iron out the kinks regarding everything. Last question then from my side is the proposal that was sent up in regards to the bribe, the curve pool bribe that we want to do with Stargate. The proposal was sent up when Stargate was trading at around $3.50 per ECG, if I'm not wrong. What are we going to do in regards to that? Are we going to take current terms? Because current pricing makes $5 million worth of Stargate a shitload of tokens, and that will eventually just create a massive dumping mechanism as well. Or do we do it at the time where the proposal was made initially? What are we going to decide in that sense? If you guys have, if you've maybe figured something out yet, or we're still ironing out the kinks there.
I think Maki is king of bribes here. So Maki, what are your thoughts around that?
Can you repeat? Like, what is the question again?
Quick question, basically. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah, no,
Anis.
you can go. No, you can go, Primo. It's fine. You word things better than I do at some stage, of at stages.
The question is broadly, when the proposal was made for bribes, it was $5 million worth at roughly $3.5 STG. But the proposal was written in USD at about that price. Now that the price of Stargate has fallen, it will obviously be like a lot more tokens than originally written up in the proposal. Is the proposal based on Stargate tokens? Is it based on US dollar
It's
amounts?
about
Or
yeah,
what is kind of the
it was
plan
based
around
it was based in USD amount. It was based in USD amount. Was not based on Stargate at um not based on the price of Stargate at the moment of the proposal. In case something like this happens, it could have gone on the other way though. Could have been like STG token goes up, and so we have less token to deploy. But yeah, it's nominal 5 million USD. I mean, up to 5 million USD. I think based on basically how much people are bribing, yeah, this is gonna be how we proceed. Um, I don't expect as much bribing happening, to be honest, this round, like because of everything unfolding. So we'll see, but it's like it's mostly for yeah, that's how we would proceed. It's a nominal USD.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, the idea was just the worry that I just had is had we continue to do it at current market prices, that would be a five-fold increase to the amount of Stargate tokens we're releasing. In the long term, it doesn't maybe make that much difference, but short term,
Yep.
it will 100% just lead to dumping. So cool. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate. And yeah, unfortunately, I think all of the stable coins on Earth, the entire crypto market is so rattled by this entire thing that happened now. It actually gives us a little bit of time, most likely, to kind of work in the shadows and work out all of our things. But yeah, sad day for crypto in general. But in any case, thank you guys for the time, and look forward to continuing our development on this wonderful project. Cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Hannes. Nordos, did your mic get working? I know you've been up here for a minute.
Hello?
Oh, hey, there you
Hello?
are. Go ahead.
Hi guys. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on, but my question was in regards to the core reactor. I guess I'm not sure whether like it's an auction of type of thing. It's to see what I saw Mackie's post on that, and I thought we were kind of leading that third round, and I guess we didn't get the spot. So I guess my question was on what the actual benefits are to Stargate and what the implications are of us not, I guess, winning it.
So yeah, so what would have happened if we won the reactor is basically like people would have been able to leverage it in depositing STG and basically earning toke. In the meantime, they are basically like allocating this STG to like a curve pool with like T, STG, and Stargate. And basically like we can vote on where to deploy this capital on dexes and so on. What happened, by the way, why we didn't win is at the very last minute, literally like I think 3 to 4 hours prior to the vote ending, I saw there was three bribe 200k each with 100k. So Rook, Dodo, and I don't remember if there was another project that was there was a lower 50k bribe. Basically like sent bribes on hidden ends where people like change their vote last minute to basically like capture this upside. If we would have been able to bribe in the very last minute, this small amount, we would probably have been able to win the reactor. Everyone could have been farming it, or we could have even like do a proposal to deposit some of the treasure inside to basically like accumulate toke. What is interesting with toke, as you may know, by the way, like full disclosure, I'm helping them on the strategy side, part time. It's like one or 2 day engagement per week. Basically, like we would have been able to redirect USDC sitting in the reactor, which is right now like total TVL is around 700, 800 million. This would make us less reliant on emission of STG or else. So anyway, there's some tremendous benefit to kind of accumulate like a stake in toke. Right now this didn't went through with STG per se, but would be possible with by other means. ultimately, like, we're gonna be ready for the next core to make sure that we win a slot. I myself voted like with all my talk for this current round, and yeah, that was not enough because of the bribe. So potentially, like, we need to have like a contingent plan where we are able to potentially use some operation STG in part of these event, like ad hoc or based on or our own kind of analysis. But it is what it is, and we're gonna be ready for next round.
Got it. And is there any timeline on when the fourth round is going to happen?
So right now they're finalizing the whole round. There's not been any announcement on when is the next. Usually it's every 2 months, 3 months. But I do know without any leak that they're looking into expanding on to the multi-chain, the omni-chain universe. So it might take a little while to go on the other one. Right now it's only on mainnet, and we want to make sure they're able to accept stables and so on other networks with our help.
Understood. Thank you.
Tangle, I've got to jump quickly. I have a
All good.
call that hopefully is very good for all of us that I'm going to go take. But I'll let you lead it from here.
Perfect. Thanks, Primo. See you guys. Yeah, so that's I think that kind of wraps everything up for us anyways. Yeah, if anybody else has further questions or anything else to share here or add to the tokamak part there, yeah, hopefully if you do, please please let us know. Just kind of going back through these messages or through the text channel. Yeah, so the last one here was just about the STG emissions ending soon, so I don't think it's a good use of time or energy or focus to incentivize people to stake STG. Why is it important that people stake STG right now? Just cut emissions. Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on that a little bit, just with, I think with like some of these other proposals. I know Izzy had mentioned, kind of talked a little bit about that stuff. Yeah, I think... I don't know, further discussion around that. Feel free to bring that up into Commonwealth and ideas there. I don't know. Anybody else has anything for us? Otherwise, we'll wrap up here. But yeah, anybody?
Just a very quick comment on liquidity incentives.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe a bit completely off, but since the liquidity is all dollar denominated, I'm wondering if having a fixed portion, small portion of the treasury in some dollar stable and then paying the liquidity incentives in dollar stables would make more sense and be a more efficient use of capital. So say have 5% of the treasury in stables and then pay those liquidity incentives in stables instead of paying them in Stargate. It would allow more control over when Stargate is dumped.
Yeah, that's I mean, having treasury diversification, I think, is something that a lot of treasuries are looking at, and that's something we could potentially look at too. Maki, I don't know if you've got any comments towards that.
So that's basically like Brian actually like spoke about something similar like before with me, and if we were to pay in stable from part of the fees already to the protocol, like that would be it's something that doesn't make sense. It's just like it means that we're not like the LP fee is just not properly optimized and so on. What I think would be more sane or makes more sense is just the way we do like the emissions or distribution to it, the full amount of STG reward would be to have like a gradual kind of sort of like nesting or boosty, as long as the first 100 day could be like basically gradual increasing your boost until you reach like the top at 100. The moment you claim all of this resets, that would be more sensible than basically like I think giving out stables per se. But we're gonna have like different revenue streams kind of coming online with the Optimism token, where we're going to be able to incentivize with third-party tokens. We're going to be able to profit from the bribes and so on when we have like this CVX CRB allocation, which we could then turn into stables and use it for incentives. I do think right now we're kind of more in the early stage like this. We want to maximize kind of holding of everything. So we want to like just loop it loop it to accumulate as much as possible, then basically divert it when it makes sense to initiative like this or holders or and so on. I think that's really the game that we're playing at the moment. But reducing incentives or like making sure that they're quote unquote harder. They could also be tranches where like you lock for 6 months your USDC and you can earn like a fixed amount of Stargate that is vested and so on. That could also be possible. Ultimately, like rather than do like emission shooting in the dark, we need to just make sure that there's like some KPI that we want to hit. We did like some modeling with Sir Glassman in the team, and basically like the result was we needed at the moment like around 350 million USDC, like in total TVL rather than the current like kind of number. So we are over incentivizing quite a lot. Of course, like the moment like integrations are it and kind of traffic goes up, this is always kind of a moving target. But anyways, that's where we are at the moment.
Thanks for unpacking all that. Yeah, it's figuring out those incentive mechanisms is always very interesting, and it's great to see the what this proposal here outlining like all of the analytics around the the pools and everything too here with protocol and liquidity and what we the target for TVL and everything. So good to hear that there's some like interesting ideas around it and ways to kind of incentivize people to either stake or get in, to be able to bring in liquidity and whatnot. Okay. Does anybody else have questions, comments, concerns? Love to hear from you. Thank you, everybody that has come up today, and really appreciate the engagement that's happened here. But if not, that's it's great. We've been on for an hour here, so this has of course been recorded and is also being live streamed to Stargate and to LayerZero's YouTube channel. We'll also be. I've also had this like set over to Twitter Spaces. I was managed to do that today, so eventually we'll try and get some more people engaged there, and maybe that'll bring some attract some Twitter Space views there too. So trying that out. We'll see if we can maybe get a little more on that for next week. And of course, this is we've got the POAP bot has been running. So anybody that's been in the call here, there should be POAPs available for you here afterwards. I'll keep you posted on that once they're ready to go. And this will be should be available shortly hereafter on YouTube for those who want to check it out. But thanks everybody for coming on. We'll see you all next week at the exact same time. And just make sure you head over to Commonwealth for any comments on the proposals that we have, or if you want to create your own or anything like that. And be sure to give some input and vote on it on the polls, and go from there. Thanks everybody. We will see you all next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.